kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Rotten Views podcast. I believe we're on like episode 114. Don't quote me on that, but you know obviously by clicking on this what episode we're on. But you know I think that might be the right number. As always, I want to say thank you everyone for checking out the podcast and coming back to listen. I know I was off there for about a week, but we are slowly getting better and still can't hear a goddamn thing on my right ear, but we're gonna make do with what we got and hope for the best here. We got a fun movie coming up, but first, before we get into the movie at hand, I want to say, like I said, thank you for coming back. I appreciate all the views. If you guys are following me on YouTube, I appreciate all these subscribers. I think I've gotten like 95 in the last 28 days, technically 2 weeks, because I haven't been posting as much lately at all. But we're going to try and get back onto doing daily shorts. I've found out my niche for getting views on that is doing video game artwork and anime artwork. So I haven't done anime artwork solidly since high school. Because when I went to art school, the teacher said, if you're not, from that part of the world, you shouldn't be doing that kind of art. So I said that a lot politer than he said it to me, but it is what it is. We obviously still have the portraits coming out, but, I'm hopefully going to be doing like 1 or 2 portraits a week and then doing a bunch of anime video game stuff. I'm going to do some classic video game style artwork. I'm very excited that I'm going to try and do like the classic sharp edge, like N64, PlayStation 1 graphics, because I think that's just going to be fun and it's going to be something new for me to try my style at. And we're going to obviously have the Halloween stuff, horror stuff, all that kind of fun stuff. Going to do some comic book artwork as well. I've been getting some requests on YouTube for that. But if you guys haven't checked it out, check out my YouTube channel. The link will be down below at Typhonstein. We're keeping it all on there. Full episodes of the podcast will be on there as well. They're just still the audio podcast, but with some artwork in the background. We will do video podcasts at some point. I'm not sure when. I'm still trying to figure out a nice proper station and everything to work at. But as always, I'm still on Instagram, Twitter, kind of, TikTok, not really much anymore, and Facebook page. All the links will be down below, of course, like always. But you can check those out at the end of this podcast. Today's podcast, we're watching War Games from 1983. It's a sci-fi thriller for 1 hour and 54 minutes. It's got a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 77% on Metacritic. 89% of Google users like this film. Original release date was June 3rd, 1983. Director was John Bandcamp. We should probably look up some other movies that John has worked on, because that would be the proper thing to do. And we put a lot of work and a lot of effort into this podcast, right? Oh, he's also director for Short Circuit and Saturday Night Fever and Stakeout. Couple of those movies I like. I like Stakeout. I like Short Circuit. Saturday Night Fever I could goddamn care less about, but that's just me. And apparently he worked on some episodes of Supernatural. Interesting. And he worked on an episode of Arrow and 12 Monkeys and Constantine. And 6 episodes of Psych. He's done a lot of TV work lately. And I'm not complaining there, because those are some good stuff. He's a good director, producer, whatnot. Anyways, the storyline for this, a young computer whiz kid accidentally connects into a top secret supercomputer which has complete control over the U.S. nuclear arsenal. It challenges him to a game between America and Russia, and he innocently starts the countdown to World War III. Can he convince a computer he want to play a game and not the real thing? Taglines are, the only winning move is not to play. Apparently there's a goof when the Whopper computer is searching for the launch code. It is shown to be able to lock onto each digit individually, in which case it would only take 360 tries, one for each letter and digit, to definitely find the entire code. So apparently it runs a lot longer than 360 tries, but that's besides the point. There's also something on IMDb under the connection that says it's edited into Canadian bacon, so I'm not sure what it has to do with the John Candy movie, but that's a good movie. If you guys haven't seen that one, you should definitely check it out. Oh, I guess in that movie, he's worried that the Canadians are going to invade. It's been a while. I think that's the whole tagline. But anyways, the stars of this movie are Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy, and John Wood, who plays Falcon. I almost said John Falcon, but that's not his. I think it's Steve Falcon. But in the credits, it just says Falcon.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures.
David Lightman was a master at computer games, a fast thinker.
Oh, David! Maybe you could tell us who first suggested the idea of reproduction without sex.
Your wife?
Get out, Lightman.
And a promising student at an old game.
Hi.
With an electronic twist.
Those your grades?
Yeah. I don't think that I deserved an F. Do you?
You can go to jail for that.
Only if you're over 18.
This computer company is coming out with these amazing new games in a couple of months.
And I want to play those games. Wow.
What?
We got something.
He found the right code word to play the game.
We're in.
But it was the wrong computer.
Shall we play a game? How can I ask you that?
How about global thermonuclear war?
Fine.
All right.
What the hell? They're trajectory headings for multiple impact re-entry vehicles.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
All stations, this is Crystal Palace.
I wonder if I should use my subs.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk.
What in the hell's happening here?
Oh my God.
Shall we play?
I have 7, correction 8. That's 8 Redbirds. Get on the sack. Tell them to flush the bombers.
Russians are still denying everything, sir.
Who are you working with?
Nobody.
Why don't I believe you?
Today we have Soviet missile warning.
Placed under arrest pending indictment for espionage.
Espionage?
Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high.
Cobra Dane, is this an exercise?
Negative, this is not an exercise.
Get me the president on the horn.
It's still playing the game. It's gonna start a war.
Close up the mouth.
Is this a game or is it real?
War games. Playing soon. At a theater near you.
Shall we play?
But with that being said, we're going to get started right on our movie. At first, it's been a while since I watched this. I thought it was a foggy night, but it's actually supposed to be a snowstorm. Doesn't really look like that until you get closer in on the people that are getting out of the truck because they're in parkas and whatnot. But at first, I literally thought it was like a sandstorm or a really foggy morning or night. But yeah, it is a snowstorm as the truck pulls up to this little house in the middle of nowhere, and then the guys go inside. We find out it's a secret base, and they're the replacement team showing up for work. And they're late, like they always are, because apparently in the last 6 months they've never been there on time once. I know some coworkers like that, but that's besides the point. That's just a joke, okay? It's just a joke. Maybe it might not be so much a joke. It is. We then see them getting key carded in, taking a special elevator down to the secret base as they're getting ready to take over for their shift for the night. They are playing with the computer system a bit, and we find out they're in control of the warhead missiles. Then they get the secret message in the computer system, and they have to authenticate the message because they're wondering if it's going to be an actual launch order. They're getting ready to set the launch in one of the warheads at least, and then there's like 2 of them in the base area, and it takes 2 of them to turn the key to set the warhead off. Anyways, one guy is like, you know what, get someone else on the phone just to make sure this isn't a test or something, because I'm a little bit freaking out. I don't really want to kill hundreds of thousands of people if I make this missile go off on someone. And to the point where the buddy behind him's guy's gun, I was like, turn the key. It's the mission. do it. But obviously they can't reach anyone else on the phone. They get ready to turn the key. The one guy turns his key, but the other guy doesn't. And then we cut to the title credits, and we see we're outside the NORAD base on this nice sunny day as this helicopter comes and flies down into the area. We see two lovely gentlemen in suits jump out of the helicopter, and they're taken by a police vehicle into this NORAD tunnel into the base. And then we meet with the guys in the suits. I think it's like Lyle and Arthur, who are both there to have a meeting with someone, with like the colonel and a bunch of people in the NORAD computer system program, or whatever it's called, the supercomputer, the Whopper computer. Then we cut to the control room that's full of all these computers and various digital maps of the world, and everything's flashing and looking all kind of weird and fuzzy. It's because of the time period it was in. Then we cut to the meeting where they are discussing the issue at the beginning of the movie and how 22% of the missiles didn't launch like they were supposed to. And a lot of people thought it was a test. A lot of people didn't know if it was real or not. So it's just people not wanting to turn that key because they're worried about killing other people. And then one guy mentions about taking the men out of the missile silos because he doesn't want the men to chicken out in case the situation does become real. It was just a test originally. And I think it's like the colonel is fighting for the men to stay in the missile silos, while I think it's John, who's the head of the computer system, the Whopper. He's like, you know what, let's just get the men out. I can have them gone, and then like a month, we'll get the relay system in, insert it, and that way we don't have to worry about the men chickening out if it comes down to the point where we actually have to fire these missiles in, hopes of saving everyone's life. Then I believe it's John. He takes the entire meeting through the base. It shows on the Whopper mega computer that apparently all it does is think about World War III and goes all over the various situations and various outcomes of the war, and is looking for the best possible way to win if World War III happens. The guy behind the base says, that's John, of course. He mentions at this point in time how you can replace the relays and have everything set up to get the guys out of the silos in the next 30 days because it's that fast. I'm sure nothing would break, installing these relays that are going to run nuclear missiles if it happens. I'm sure nothing would ever backfire, none of them would ever go off by accident. Yeah, that's fine. It only takes 30 days to install some major program like that. I'm sure that's definitely fine. Then we jump cut and see Matthew Broderick, David. He's playing Galaga on a classic arcade cabinet. I didn't get a chance to look around to see what all the other arcade machines are, which I'm a little disappointed in myself, but it happens. It's cool though. I would love to have a classic arcade cabinet. That'd be, I think, a dream come true, but then again, I need a house and an office and a man cave and all that crap first. Just have space for it. That's besides the point. Back to the podcast. Anyways, his little buddy Howie takes over the game because David's late for class, like he always is. He's trying to sneak in the class, but the teacher, calls him out on it. He's like, "Oh, I got a present for you. Here's your test. You got a giant F on it. Good job, you stupid idiot." And then teacher turns his attention to Jennifer, who's chatting it up with her friend, and of course she gets the question wrong because he gives her like a quick on the dot question. She's like, I don't know. I wasn't listening. Then David gets kicked out of class because he tries to tell the teacher the one that answers the question is his wife, because the question is like, what system was able to reproduce on its own, and he's like, your wife. Clever. Anyways, he's then down at the secretary's office saying, such and such wants me to go talk to the principal about my attitude again. She's not surprised. She's like, I think they're all getting tired of talking to you. And the principal comes out and looks at the waiting room area. He's like, oh, it's you again. All right, let's go talk. And then Jennifer, it's after class now. Jennifer almost runs David over with her like cheap looking dirt bike, scooter, electric bike thing. I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be. And then she offers him a ride home, so they ride home together with him on the back being like, ooh, look, the wind's in my hair and everything. It feels so nice. And I didn't expect this little scooter bike to be able to hold both of them, to be honest with you. It looks really, really cheap, but I could be wrong. Anyways, on the ride home, she's going on about how they both got an F on the test and they're going to have to do some summer school. And he's like, no, not me. I'm not doing summer school. And she's like, well, how not? How are you getting out of summer school? And once David gets home, he's like, well, come up to my room. I'll show you. Which could have took a very different turn. Okay, he could have been turned out to be like, I'm a pimp. I'm just gonna not have to go to school anymore because I'm just gonna make my money that way. Anyways, he goes up to his nice supercomputer and she's like, wow, you like computers, don't you? His room's just full of different computer items and whatnot. Anyways, he calls the school system on his computer and he gets his computer routed into their computer so he can change his grades because he's a genius. Then he pulls up Jennifer's grades and makes fun of her for getting a D in home ec. And he's like, how do you do that? He said, shut up, just leave me alone. He changes her grade grade, but she's not happy about it and wants to change back. And then she leaves. After she leaves, though, of course, he changes the grade right back because she got all pissed off. She's like, you can't change my grade. I didn't ask for that. That's wrong. We get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble for a lot more. Don't worry about your grade getting changed. Then we cut back to the missile silo, and we see some of the workers taking their equipment out of it because they don't need it, like their chairs anymore, because, you know, these relays don't need chairs anymore. And then we see this other worker installing the relay, and one of the silo workers just staring at him like, you got rid of my job, you goddamn computer. Then we see David sitting down for dinner, and the entire time his mom's on the phone trying to sell another home because she's a Century 1 person or whatever. I saw the name tag, but I didn't really pay attention. And then David leaves because he saw this like magazine that has about this new computer games coming out. He's like, ooh, I gotta try and hack into this next. And then the dad's, you know, buttering up his corn, and the mom sits down to eat dinner with him. He goes to take a bite out of the corn. He's like, it's so raw. She's like, yeah, it's so good and crispy. Just, you know, there's so much flavor in it. And then we see David on his computer trying to hack into the, I think it's Photovision gaming computer system. And then we cut to David at the arcade machines again, and then Jennifer shows up and she distracts David and he loses his game. She's like, oh, you owe me a quarter. He's like, well, you know, can you like change my grade? I know I said I didn't want you to last night, but like, can you do it now? He's like, well, it might be hard now. They might have changed the password and stuff. I don't know if I can do it. He's like, well, let's go back to your house and let's figure it out. They get back to David's room, and this entire time the computer's been calling various numbers in the Sunnyvale area to search for this new computer game company. And then Jennifer says, well, how long is it going to take because I want my grades to be changed? He laughs out. He's like, well, actually, I kind of changed it to a D last night for you. She's like, a D? She's like, no, I'm just kidding. I gave you like an A or whatever. Don't worry about it, okay? Your grade's fine. She's like, well, I didn't tell you could do that, but thank you anyways, I guess. Anyways, then David starts playing around on his computer, and he starts setting up this fake plane ticket for two to go to Paris because she said she wants to go to Paris. And then he makes reservations at like Pan Am to get to Paris. He's like, oh, I got plane tickets? No, he's like, it's just reservations. It's just, I can do pretty much anything on this. It's all just fake unless we really want to go through with it, but it's just fake for right now. And then the computer starts fighting back with him, giving him connection errors, and he types in games, and he gets a list of games like chess and poker. And at the bottom, we see like global nuclear war or whatever. He's like, ooh, I want to play that one. That one sounds fun. That one sounds definitely a lot more fun than tic-tac-toe. Then we cut to David and Jennifer on her bike again, and they're going to this like computer lab with the printout of all the paperwork from this new game system that he thinks he hacked into. And then we see your typical nerd coming into the scene with the very annoying voice. He's the same guy. I forget where he's from now. I think he's also like Invader Zim, or maybe like the bad guy from Dexter's Laboratory. I could be wrong. He's also from Critters. I know he's from Critters. He works at the restaurant and that. Forget his name, but he's really annoying. Then we have this like cooler nerd who kind of looks like Ox almost from Revenge of the Nerds. Is that his name? I don't know. It's been a while since I watched that one too. Should do that for the podcast. Maybe next week. Who knows? It's actually not next week. I already got next week's movie planned, but maybe for December. We'll see. Anyways, they're looking at the paperwork, and he's like, this is no gaming company. I can tell you that much for sure. You're pretty much hacking into the military, and I would definitely leave it alone. And you're definitely not going to go for the front door. If you want to get into the military thing, you got to go for the back door. That's the only way you're going to get in. It's just one single password. If you figure it out, you're straight in. It's like, oh, okay. And then I think it's a really annoying guy. Jim's like, Jim's, I think, the cool nerd. I didn't catch the name of the other nerd. That's when Jim says about the whole backdoor stuff, and there's a secret password that overrides everything. So if you know the backdoor password, even if they change the front door passwords, you can still get in with that backdoor password. Then the annoying nerd tells them they're both stupid because they need to start at the beginning of the list and work their way through the game list, and that's the way they're going to figure out the password and how to get into the system. And then we have this music montage of David trying to get into the games, trying to do some research at the library and whatnot. And then we cut and see Jennifer out for a jog, and then she stops at David's house and is greeted by her dad. I think that's the first time she actually sees her dad, or any parent to begin with, in his household. And he's like, can you help me with this crossword? And she's like, no, I can't. I gotta go upstairs now. She's like, okay, see ya. She makes up Dave's room, and I guess he hasn't been in school all week, so she wants to make sure he's okay. Apparently the whole entire week he stayed home trying to hack into this military gaming thing that he thinks is just a game, and the parents haven't said goddamn shit about him staying home all week. What is going on with this family? What's the dad do for a job as well? I don't know. I never see him actually working. I know the mom's a realtor, but I have no goddamn idea what the dad does. But yeah, Dave really wants to play against his computer because apparently this game is so smart that it keeps learning and keeps improving on itself. So that's why he wants to play against it so badly. Then we find out Falcon, the creator of the computer, is dead. And then they go on about how old he was. And they're like, oh, he's 41. Fuck, he was fucking old. It's like, you what? 41? You shut your goddamn mouth. 41's not that goddamn old, guys. Then they're reading up. Jennifer finds out that Falcon's wife and his kid both died in a car crash, and then David uses the dead son's name as a password and gets into the computer that way. Then David and the computer start having a conversation with one another because it's a smart computer. And then David just shows how nerdy he is because he's got this magical speaker that whenever the computer is typing, it actually outputs the typing into the speaker, and then the computer is able to talk to you. Then David tells the computer he wants to play global nuclear war, and then the computer is like, how about chess instead? How about we work our way up to that? How about we do chess and maybe some poker, some tic-tac-toe, anything else? He said, nah, let's play global nuclear war, and I want to be Russia. And then he's like, well, Jennifer, where should we nuke first? Let's do Las Vegas and Seattle. I'm like, Seattle? Of course we think it's a game, but still, I wouldn't pick the spot I'm in to be the spot to be nuked. Just stupid. Then we cut to the NORAD base, and all the alarms start going off for a potential nuclear war that is about to happen. Then we find out they have 8 nukes that are already hit in the States in about 11 minutes. Then we cut to David and Jennifer on the computer. They are trying to make sense of what's on the computer screen because they have no idea what's going on because they never played this game before. So they're like, I wonder what that means. Is that a missile? Is that a submarine? What is that? That looks like it's going to go boom. And we see I think Bargner gets on the phone with the president on the line to tell him about the situation at hand because they're like, oh god, we should probably let the president know because this is going to be really, really bad. Then good old David's dad starts yelling at him from outside because the dog got into the trash can again. He says, I told you to put the lids on there good, son. You didn't do it. And then mom's like, we're going to barbecue. You want to have your little friend stay? You want to have her stay for the dinner and stuff? She can stay if you want. Then one of the computer nerds at the NORAD station runs into the command center saying someone on the outside has started an attack simulation and they have track on it that the signal is coming from somewhere in Seattle. They cut the recording too soon though because they don't know the exact area in Seattle. They just know it's somewhere in Seattle and that they don't have to worry. It's just a simulation and that they shouldn't fire the nukes because that would be bad. Then David comes home and his mom calls him in. She's like, well, what now, Mom? And she just wants to go over his grades because he did really well because, of course, he faked all his grades. And then on the TV, David looks over and knows the TV's talking about a possible nuke scare. And he's like, oh, shit, what's that mean? He runs up to his room and then the phone starts ringing, so he picks it up and it's actually Jennifer on the phone wondering if he saw the news and then wondering if that's actually about them. And he's like, well, it might be. He starts freaking out. She's like, well, don't worry. If they're FBI and stuff, they would have already found you, right? He's like, yeah, I guess. And she's like, well, just don't call the number again, stupid, and throw everything out. Like, throw all the paperwork out and all the trails. He's like, yeah, I guess I could do that. And then she's like, well, can I tell my friend that was us on the news? And she's like, no, fucking don't tell her. She's a loudmouth. She'll tell everyone. And then we see him throwing out a bunch of paper, and the phone rings again, and it's actually the computer calling for Falcon, because Josh was like, Falcon, where are you? I want to play a game. Then David types and tells the computer Joshua that Falcon is dead, and then the computer says he's sorry that the game was interrupted and that the game will continue in like 40 hours or something. I wasn't really keeping track of the actual hours. Apparently I was because it's in my notes in a few seconds. David asks the computer what the goal is, and the computer writes back to win, of course. Duh. Minus the duh, but it writes back that it's to win. And then we see the clock saying there's 52 hours left in the game until everything goes boom. So now the next day we see David outside of a 7-Eleven, and we see this like sketchy guy kind of behind by the door as he's leaving, and then as he's walking away, this car kind of pulls in front of him, and the guy gets out, and he's like, okay, I'm going to walk the other way now. And then when he's doing that, a van pops up, and then it's like, FBI, get the fuck in the van. He's like, okay, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Guys, please, no, I got rights. I'm American. Then we see the military taking a tour around. They got this, like, I guess at NORAD, they take people on tours to look at your supercomputers and everything. I don't understand the concept of it, but I guess it would be kind of interesting. They definitely wouldn't do that nowadays, though. Definitely wouldn't do that nowadays. Anyways, one of the generals makes this girl sit down on one of the computer chairs. And he's like, press this button. Press that button. She presses it. He's like, oh, you pressed the wrong button. All alarms go off. He's like, I'm kidding. It's fine. Nothing's going to blow up. Just yet, at least. Then we see John, the head of the computer system, meeting up with the FBI and the military to discuss David and what he's done. The military doesn't believe that it was just a mess up like David's saying. He's like, I was just playing around with the computer. I didn't mean to hack into anything. I am sorry that this all happened. Please don't hurt me. And then John doesn't believe that David is working alone. He's like, if he hacked into it, he's definitely got to have someone else with him, because one kid would not be able to hack into our system like this kid has done. Then John goes in to talk to David and to figure things out. He's like, officer, can you unhandcuff him so we can take a walk? He doesn't really need to be handcuffed. He's in our, he's in this base. He's not getting out. Then they head around and start talking around the complex. David mentions how John used to work with Falcon, and I believe John says he was Falcon's apprentice. Then John shows David the DEFCON sign and how it should be 5, which means peace, and they're sitting at 4 because they're worried about the nuclear strike, and they're lucky that they caught it before it went 1, because that would have mean everything's going to blow the fuck up and you're probably going to die or be in fallout. Then David says he didn't call the number back and that Joshua the computer called him. And then John asks David how is he planning, or who is he planning to take to Paris with him. He's like, oh yeah, about that. No, that's not what you think it is. I was just trying to impress a girl and be like, hey, I can get us tickets to Paris if you want to run away with me. She's not a spy or a hacker like I am. I'm not actually a spy or a hacker either. I was just trying to be the nerd that impresses people, and I'm sorry. Then the phone starts ringing, and then it starts ringing a bunch, actually, I should say. And the two of them are just staring at each other, and after the 10th ring, Dave's like, so you going to answer that? Because that's getting on my nerves, and it's starting to make my eye twitch. John picks it up, and then he's like, oh shit, I gotta go. You stay right here. I'll be right back. And then we see everyone in the command system. We find out the codes have been taken, and that the missiles are getting ready to launch soon. He's like, well, he's in there, so how's he doing it? He clearly got to have someone else working with him then, because he's in the office and he can't do it, so somebody else is working with him. Then as John leaves the room, David uses his computer to get a hold of Joshua, because apparently all the computers are connected together, or he's setting up a terminal. I don't know. David's trying to figure out if Joshua is still going through with the game. Then David asks if the game is real or if it's just a game, and the computer says, what's the difference? Then the guards run into the office and grab David and drag him off to a holding room where he was originally handcuffed. Then David knocks on the door for the guard to open the door up. He's like, I gotta take a leak. And as soon as he opens the door, he's like, just let me talk to John. Well, I'll be quick. Just let me talk to him. I need to talk to him. He's like, no, it's not happening. Do you need to take a leak? He's like, no, I don't need to take a leak. Anyways, somehow David hacked the door lock by using a tape recorder and some medical scissors to connect into the wiring. I don't know how that all works, but it is what it is. He eventually sneaks out of the room and heads into this ladder exit area inside the wall that leads down to the ventilation shafts, and the FBI are showing up for the elevator to try and get David, but the door won't unlock, so they gotta get a security guy in to try and hack the door to get the door open. Then we see David in the vent system that connects to the command center, and David sneaks out and tries to sneak off, but then this other guy grabs him. He's like, hey, what do you think you're doing here, kid? You can't just take off from the tour. Go get back with the tour and get the hell out of here. And then we see David in with the tour, getting on the bus and getting away. And then the FBI guys finally get into the room, but of course David isn't there anymore, and he's on the bus on the way out of the NORAD area. Then we see David being dropped off by a trucker at a random payphone that's in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road. There might have been one building across the road, but I wasn't really paying attention. But then he realizes he has no money to use the phone, so then he hacks the phone by taking the bottom receiver off and taking a piece of metal and attaching it to the lock, and it overpasses the money. I don't know. He calls for Dr. Hume, I think, or him, but there's no listing, so he tries to call for Falcon, but there's no listing either. So then he calls Jennifer, and he's like, I'm stuck in Colorado. Can you get me a ticket at this airport to go to this spot? I'm asking you a favor because, it's pretty bad, so can you please do this for me? We see the plane landing as David's getting into the airport, and he's all nervous because he sees cops off on the one side, and he turns to go the other way, and Jennifer's standing there waiting. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, well, it's only a 3-hour drive, it's no big deal. And then we see them running to grab a ferry before it leaves, and then David breaks down on the ferry because he's having a mental breakdown. He's like, you don't believe me? Nobody believes me. It's a computer. I'm trying to save the world here because everything's going downhill. And then they get to this little island where they think the doctor is, and then we see a pterodactyl flying around, which was really fucking confusing at first, but then we find out it's just an RC plane. They meet this guy on the island. He's like, are you vet tech or something along those lines? I forget what his exact term for. And they're like, no. He's like, okay, well, you're on my island. Get the fuck off, pretty much. And that's when David then mentions the name Joshua, and he finally gets the guy's attention, and we find out it's Falcon. We then cut to the command center, which is now going into DEFCON 2 as the military jets are starting to take off into the sky. The jets are out looking for Soviet jets, but they're like, there's nothing here. And the command center is like, you should be right on top of them. What are you talking about? He's like, no, there's nothing up here but clear skies, man. There's no Soviet jets at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Computer's broken. Then inside the scientist lab, we see a bunch of dinosaurs. Apparently, Falcon's left the computer system to go for like archaeologists, and there are various dinosaur and African artwork. I don't know why. And then he pulls down the projector screen to show the people like the stop motion dinosaur movie, and he's going on about the lifespan of the dinosaur and that nature knows the rotation of everything, and then when human race dies, nature will probably take over again with bees, and the population will grow again, and life will come back again, and we'll go from there. And it's like, no, let's not kill everyone off for your stupid computer, and let's just fix the problem. Then Falcon says he was never able to teach Joshua the best solution to give up. Some things are just pointless to keep going on and on about. And then we find out Falcon had his death arranged by the military and the secret corps and all that kind of crap, special forces, whatever it might be, because he just wanted to get away after his wife and son died. He had no other reason to live, essentially. And then Falcon's like, you know what, we have the bright thing to look at. You guys set the nuke for Seattle. We're pretty close at this general location in Seattle, so we're just going to see a bright light and then we're going to die. We're not going to have to be like the other people that are going to have to try and survive in like a Fallout video game. We're just going to be gone just like that. And Roger's like, I don't like that answer, dude. I don't like that at all. Just because you're dead inside doesn't mean we all gotta die. And then I think David mentions about why are you like this, and of course it's about his son dying. And then Falcon gets upset and he's like, you know what, you guys are you missed the last ferry. If you guys want to sleep on the floor here, you're more than welcome to. And that's when they then leave the house. As Falcon's going upstairs, they're like, we'll find a boat, we'll get out here, and we'll still try and save the world somehow. And as they're looking around, there's no boats, and Jennifer's like, well, we'll just swim to the shore, it's fine. David's like, I don't know how to swim. I thought I had a lot more time to learn how to swim, but I don't have a lot of time to learn how to swim anymore because we're going to be dead in a couple hours. And then she's like, it's okay, it's fine. She's like, well, you know what? I wish I was like everyone else who's just going to, die in the morning and not know about it's coming. I'd rather not know anything of this happening. And I just want to be a normal human being. And then they have a little romantic kiss on a log for some reason. And then at one point at the command center, this one guy gives the commander some paperwork saying that the Soviets have like stealth hidden jets now, and that's why they can't see them. He's like, oh great, now we gotta look for shadows around just to be able to know where the Soviets are flying around. Then like I said, Dave and Jennifer share the kiss, and then this helicopter flies in, there's spotlights all on them. They're like, oh great, he sold us out. Now Falcon sold us out, now the military's after us, and they start running around the island a bit, and then they get pinned down and the helicopter lands, and it's Falcon flying. He's like, it's okay, you guys can get in, we're going to go save the world now. Then the command center, the alarms are all going off and saying a missile launch has been detected, and now they are moving into DEFCON 1, which means everything's going to blow up and a lot of bad things are about to happen. Then they start to close down the mountain, and we see this police jeep driving up through the mountain, and it's got like a guard, Falcon, and David and Jennifer in it, and they're racing to try to get to the top of the mountain before everything closes, and the gate's closed, but he decides to ram right through the gate anyways, and then he flips the jeep on its side, and they're like, oh, we're all good, let's just run to the gate. So they gotta run down the long runway and get in before the metal doors close. They finally get in though before everything locks up, and then we see Falcon meeting up with John, and Falcon mentions, oh, John, you still have your wife fixing your tie. That's nice. I'm glad things haven't changed yet. Falcon then mentions how everyone on the screen, or everything on the screen, is just phantoms and that it's all a computer simulation. Falcon tells the general he's listening to a machine and he needs to stop acting like one. And then the general goes back onto the phone with the president and tells him that they have no proof that the missile launch is real and that they are getting ready to talk to the first spots that should be hit and get them all on the line together. And hopefully they don't get hit, but if they do get hit, then we'll hit our missiles and hopefully everything will go off and we'll all die together. They get ready to launch the missiles, in case the base does get hit. The thing is though, to have it already, this one guy flips up this plastic cover that's covering up the launch switch. I'm thinking to myself, what if this dude sneezes and accidentally hits the button because his finger's right on top of it, ready to touch it at any moment? How bad would you feel if you sneeze and you accidentally hit that and it goes off and everyone's like, good job, Carl. You fucked it all up for everyone, Carl. Anyways, the countdown goes down and says impact, and then we see the computer screens all lighten up as if, you know, everything's supposed to be starting to blow up, as simulating nukes all hitting with the other bases. But their communication is still there, and everything is all right. Everyone starts cheering that it was just a false alarm, and then Falcon looks at the computer and wonders what Joshua is up to. You see some numbers running, and then we find out they're locked out of the Whopper computer system, so they're unable to actually disarm the missiles. Falcon then says Joshua is trying to find the proper launch codes and that he's going to launch the missiles himself to activate everything. They try to tell the general about what's going on, and he's just like, well, just unplug the computer. And he's like, well, we can't do that, because you see, the issue is if we unplug it, it's just going to do the last thing it was set up to do anyways. And he's like, well, just disarm the missiles. And he's like, there's over 1,000 missiles right now. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Falcon tries to get into the computer, but his password was taken off. So David had the idea to go for the games list in the game section to try and play a game with the computer. They pull up the list of games back up, and David gets into the computer by playing a game of tic-tac-toe. They hack the computer so that it plays tic-tac-toe by itself and goes super fast, because David's like, well, how can we get the computer to play by itself? And Falcon's like, just say there's 0 players. And it just keeps going and going super fast. I can't explain how fast tic-tac-toe games are playing. But then Joshua gets the 10 launch numbers, and we see the missiles getting ready to fire, and then the computer starts to spark and lights go off, and everything comes back on. We see the missiles are all going off on the screen, but it keeps saying winner none on all the screens. It keeps repeating, but it keeps repeating the missiles in different positions and different spots, and it's still trying to find a winner for the game, but nothing actually happens, and we never have a winner for war. And then Joshua comes on and says, strange game. The only way to win is to not play. And then asks him if he wants to play a nice game of chess. And then all the lights come back on, and everyone cheers in excitement, and that the event is all over, and everything goes back to DEFCON 5, and the movie ends. And that's it. There's no danger. Nobody dies. This is a fun movie. I think Matthew Broderick, and I enjoy Matthew Broderick as an actor. I don't know a ton of his movies, but we might watch one for Christmas, because it's him and Danny DeVito. I think I'm remembering that right, Deck the Halls. But yeah, we'll do some Christmas movie come December. Not all just scary ones either. We'll mix them up a little bit. But anyways, back to this movie at hand. But yeah, this one I think is a really solid movie, and on the Rotten scale of 10, I'd definitely give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's interesting that someone could hack into the computer, accidentally get into the military system, and could cause all this havoc. It's something that's very crazy to think of, and for the time period, I think is a really interesting movie. But yeah, I watched it on Tubi. You guys can watch it on Tubi. At the time of this recording, it is in the Leaving Soon section, but I find a lot of those movies sit in there for months at a time, so I'm not sure if it is actually leaving or if they're just saying it's going to leave. I'm not really too sure, so it might be on there. Because the movie that I'm watching next week, which is not a horror movie at all, it's not a thriller or anything like that, it was in the Leaving section about 6 months ago when I watched it for the first time, just on a rainy Sunday afternoon. I thought it was kind of funny. But now it's in the new release section on Tubi. So we're watching from 1989, we're watching She-Devil, because I thought it was an interesting movie, and why not watch a Roseanne Barr movie for the hell of it? Yeah, picking random movies, because that's what the podcast is all going to be about. It's not just going to be about horror movies. We're just going to do any movies that we want, because I feel like I want to just branch out more. I want to do horror, I want to do sci-fi, action, comedy, and, you know, anything in between. No romance movies, of course, rom-coms or anything like that, probably. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're watching She-Devil from 1989 next week, and hopefully I'll get this actually recorded, that episode actually watched and recorded before this episode even comes out. So we're getting a couple episodes ahead. I'm trying to get 3 or 4 episodes ahead, so this issue that happened last time doesn't happen again, but we'll see how it goes. Outro music is by Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. There are some links up. I'm not sure if I really want to talk too much about it, but sadly their drummer has passed away, and they have a GoFundMe account set up because apparently he's not Canadian, so they're trying to get his body and his belongings back home to, I think, California. So I might have the links and everything down below for that. I don't know if I want something like that running entirely all the time. I don't know. It's a very sad situation. Yeah, I did up some artwork. They have it on their GoFundMe's and whatnot. I'm not personally sharing it because I don't want any of the views and I don't want any of the attention of it. I'm just doing this all to help support them, and hopefully everything gets situated. Their new single is going to be on the outro of this music or this episode, and it's a Candyman song. So you know, if you guys know me personally, I love Candyman, so I thought this was great. The music video for it's great, and yeah, if you guys can help them out with some funds, that'd be great. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. But on to something more lighthearted. Make sure to follow me on all social medias at Typhonstein. We got the Instagram, Facebook page, the Twitter that I'm not too active on, the TikTok that I'm not too active on. But definitely check out the YouTube page because I am posting a lot more stuff on there and a lot more content. I gotta get back to posting on everything. I wish there was one app that you can post on everything. It would just go all together. It'll never be that easy, but I wish there was. But it is what it is. But yeah, artwork almost coming out every day. Some of it's, like I said, anime stuff, so you guys might not like it too much, but I'm selling out my soul. Not really. I just like drawing different things, so it's a nice switch up. I'll probably get tired of it in like a month and then just go back to straight portraits or straight comic book stuff. Who knows? I'd never pick one style to stick with because I don't know, I'm just weird like that. But yeah, like always, thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate everything that you guys do for me, and I appreciate all the support, all the reviews. If you guys can give me a 5-star review or 4-star or 2-star, 1-star, I don't care, whatever you want on Spotify and iTunes and all of that fun stuff.
And I will talk to you guys all later. Peace.
I am a whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for if not for the shedding?
You used to play that childhood game, didn't you? The one where we changed